Welcome everybody
They
here.
had to all go with somebody class. To learn how to do it.
That's all. I'll call this meeting to order. Welcome everybody here with us tonight. And as we begin tonight's meeting, Vice Chairman Phil lead us in a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for the day. We thank you for loving us. We thank you for the rain that you've given us. And we even thank you for this hot weather that you've given us, Lord. You know everything we need. And Father, we thank you for providing it for us each time. And Father, as we prepare for a new school year, we pray that you would just guide us in decisions that need to be made, Lord. We pray that you be with our administrators at each school, Father, as they get their schools ready to take place. And Father, we just thank you for loving us. And the decisions made tonight, Father, let it be for the betterment of our community and our students. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Any additions?
No, sir.
Okay. All those in favor of the agenda as presented to you, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Announcements and recognitions and presentation.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure tonight to give you some very, very positive information across the board. I just received this in today that the Ben Hill County School Nutrition Team has been awarded based off of Hunger Heroes. And that will be presented to Miss Martha and her team. And it's from No Kid Hungry through the state of Georgia. And we are very proud of our nutrition team and what they were able to do during the pandemic and be able to supply food to all our boys and girls and out in the community. So that's a huge recognition for them. The second one we have is presented to the Board of Education, and this is the Ron Emerson Safety Award for 2020, presented to Ben Hill County Board of Education for dedication and commitment to loss control, safe work practices, Georgia Education Workers' Compensation Trust. So therefore, our school system was the lowest in loss compensation through workman's comp in pretty much the entire state. So Gary, present this to the Board of Education. Congratulations.
I'm glad I had something to do with that.
Yes,
Wow. Cool.
sir.
That'll save you some money too, won't it?
Yes, sir. It most certainly will. The next thing we have is our school system and our teachers and staff have done an outstanding job that a lot of people don't understand the kind of work that they're doing, especially our teachers and staff and boys and girls. Right now, Wiregrass has awarded us to be the #1 dual enrollment high school out of all high schools that go to Wiregrass. That is incredible. And that's incredible that our boys and girls are participating in the partnership that we have with Wiregrass. And that says a lot for our high school and our community. So congratulations to Fitzgerald High School, College and Career Academy, and all the teachers and all the boys and girls based off of that. The next thing is that in 2019, our goal changed when I came in the door that I always preach this to you, that we don't go after GMAT scores. We go after individual growth. And that's what it's about. Every child has the opportunity to grow. And when they grow, good things will happen, the rest will take care of itself. In 2019, we were awarded from the state Title I Reward School certificates for 2 schools. And that was with our primary school and our elementary school. We just got notice that fiscal year 2021, we are again Title I Reward Schools. Congratulations on having Title I schools named for the fiscal year 21 Title I Reward Schools. A Title I Reward School is a Title I school among the top 5% of Title I schools in the state for making the most progress in improving the performance of all student groups over the most recent 2 years of statewide assessment. So at this time, Ben Hill Elementary, and Ben Hill Primary School will be reward schools again, based on. I know Hal wanted to be here, but another positive note that we have is that if you haven't seen the Georgia Shopper on the front of it, and many of you were able to participate today to come and see for yourself, and I saw several of you there. But the Fitzgerald High School, College and Career Academy and Wiregrass partnered together to put together a job and networking fair that we held at the Mike Ellis Gym, and it is going on at this time. That might be one of the best things I've seen in a long time. We had a huge turnout from the time that I was there, and I know it got even better as we progressively went along. And we have talked about it already. We're going to do another one in January, and we're going to do another one at the end of the year. And we feel like this will be a fantastic partnership for everybody in the community to participate in. And after the success today of people turning out and looking for the opportunity of gaining jobs and networking, it was a tremendous opportunity for our school system and our partnership with Wiregrass. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving to the minutes, entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June the 3rd.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. When I reviewed the minutes, I found the need to ask for some correction to the minutes on page 3 and page 4. There were some duplicated motions for bus monitors, and it went on to page 4, and it was repeated with detail for a third time. I just want to make sure, if that's the way it happened, that's the way it happened, but I just thought it might have been some kind of typo. You can see their motions.
Just a repetition
Yeah,
of that paragraph.
yes.
Okay. All right, we'll look at that and make that correction if necessary. Anything else? All right, all those in favor of the minutes as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed or abstained, motion carries. All right, tonight with the July meeting with the Georgia law change, we have a time of public participation. And we'll be looking at a first read of a new policy under new business. But we've got this on the agenda for tonight. This is an effort to hear from the public at each regular meeting. This is a little bit different than people signing up to speak to the board. All that can still transpire. This, when somebody comes in the door and just has a comment they want to make, they can sign up on a list, and they'll have 3 to 5 minutes to just say whatever they want to, as long as it doesn't get into personnel or naming of students and that kind of thing. We had a list out tonight. Do we have anybody sign up? We did not. This will become more widely known as we progress into the August meeting. This will not occur at call meetings or work session. It'll just be regular meetings. All right, moving to system reports. I'll entertain a motion that we approve the consent agenda items listed on your agenda. It's items 1 through 5.
I move to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 5.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Paid bills list.
Mr. Chairman, paid bills for Fund 100 is showing at $2,274,008. The fund balance for 150 is much less, it's $157,499, for a total of $2,431,508.30.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, the general fund report.
General fund report, fund balance is showing at this time at $3,665,152.20. We're a little bit out of balance, but it's about, oh, where's Mr. Rachel's? We're out of balance about $70.
All right, East Plus report.
ELOS report for the month, reported in June, $231,980.28, and that's like $7,500 above our average. Thank you, citizens of Big Hill.
Facilities report.
Nope.
Yes, sir. Well, as always, we stayed busy. We've been assisting in a lot of moving this summer. Teachers get them set up, ready for the new school year, which happens in 2 weeks. Amazing. But that's all going good. We continue to do that. Our teachers are coming back trying to get their classrooms set up. And as always, we continue our air conditioner services, trying to stay on top of those. And that's going good. Almost complete. Probably be complete by the end of this week. Got all the fire extinguishers, fire sprinkler systems, and fire alarm inspections done. They're completed for this year. Everything checked out good, so that's all good to go. And we're continuing to work on the high school, middle school football field, getting them ready for this fall for football season. That's looking good. And been working with Miss Brown a lot last month over here at pre-K, getting ready for the 3-year-old program. It's been a lot, but we I got it all completed, so about ready to go. Any questions?
I have a question. What's happening at the board office? I see you had to do a bunch of locks over there.
That's included with keys. We just had people
Oh,
moving
just
in.
losing their keys?
Not losing them, but we had new people, like Mr. Sherman's coming in, and, just different people coming in and I made them a new key. And that, I put keys under doors and locks.
Okay. As long as we weren't having any break-ins.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, athletic reports. All those in favor of the system reports, consent agenda items as presented to you, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Transportation reports are listed as requests are listed as a matter of information for you. There's only 3 of those. The College and Career Academy Board of Directors meetings and the minutes are attached for your information. COVID update.
Right now, we're waiting on Dr. Harrelson to meet with the local regional superintendents to determine what the procedures are going to be for a systematic response to COVID. Right now, the CDC released some new guidelines, but the state has done away with the emergency mandate. And so we're going to wait and see what the RESA says that they're going to do, and then we're going to come out with we have a COVID plan based on our CARES, but it's, right now, if you're fully vaccinated and students are fully vaccinated, they're saying no to masks for those people, but I think Dr. Harrelson wants to get with the RESA superintendents and kind of see where they're going with this as well.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Vice Chair, we have a meeting with the actual doctor of the CDC and the epidemiologist out of Valdosta on Thursday morning. And there's a lot of clarification that needs to occur based off of what is quote, in people's mind assumptions versus what is the facts. What I will assure you of is this, is we will continue with the same practices we have now, continuously cleaning, continuously monitoring, and doing the same protocol that if children come into school and they start feeling ill, that it will be the same exact protocol. The difference is now that vaccination comes into play, it opens up a completely different avenue on how we look at things. So my thing is, just like when we started, my pretense is get with all 12 systems. We came up with a procedural process that everybody used, so we're all systematic and the same to the best of our ability. That's what we're looking to do with this also. And once we meet, we'll have that in place, and then we'll put that out and make everybody aware of what those expectations are. What I can tell you is this, it's very, very much a blessing that we've been all summer, and you think about this, we've been all summer with all these activities and sports going on, and we have not had issues. So that's a blessing, not going wood. So,
Thanks, sir. Matt, technology report?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a lot of what we've been doing is a lot of project-based and infrastructure-based initiatives, so you can see those listed here. Wrapping up the primary school iPad refresh, also network refresh at the elementary school. We're able to refresh our virtual server host in the data center. And we're also working currently right now with Mr. Newell and his team on cutting away from our inefficient aging battery backups to some much more cost-effective newer units that can run at a much lower cost to the overall maintenance of those units. So just working with him, we're going to pick a day here pretty soon, one afternoon, to cut over that, and that will be complete. Also staying on top of Windows patches for our servers, and we also have recently collected and prepared a listing of aging asset for surplus declaration, which I believe is on an item later on. Looking ahead, we are right now working on student device distribution support. So if you don't know what that references is getting everything logged into the school-based systems for distribution to the student, which actually is assigned their device for tracking and just accountability in that area. Also looking forward to new teacher orientation and getting into those agendas for the technology portion, both instruction, tech support, and of course school startups. Huge, similar to kind of what Mr. Newell said. Just kind of getting ready for that. It's right around the corner. The techs are in the buildings, preparing for that, going room to room, getting stuff ready, getting reconnected, and just looking forward to that start time. I did want to briefly mention that we have onboarded new instructional technology coaches, and those are for ladies who are already here, Ms. Amber Spivey, Ms. Deanne Sigmund, Ms. Marissa Morgan, and Ms. Michelle Moore. So we're very excited about the addition to this position, as well as the individuals who are filling those and providing that support service at each school. So overall, I think the team's in a good spot. Just coming together and knocking stuff out and preparing for the new year.
very good. Thank you, Matt.
Any questions? Thanks, Matt. Our next item of business is one of old business, and this is a report I wanted to make to you about the Haiti STEM project, and this will also serve as a motion to take care of this. Back in October 2019, I brought to you a request to use some of our surplus technology and send it to Haiti through the local Rotary Club and our Rotary District, and you agreed to do that. Well, that never occurred because there's so much political unrest in Haiti, also the whole year of COVID, and things obviously have not gotten any better. Their president was assassinated this past weekend. I've talked to my friend in Brunswick, St. Simon's, and it's still not desirable to try to do anything at this point in time. So this motion will have two parts. One, I'd like for us to just release all the stuff that we had in surplus that we were waiting to send, and let's just go ahead and discard that as we need to. And we could do this with our new stuff. If we've got other stuff to be surplus, let's go ahead and take the newer stuff of that, and we can go ahead and account for it, put it on pallets and prepare it for shipping, should we have an opportunity to send some stuff down in the next few months or so, and I would make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion or
Yeah,
questions?
I didn't quite hear,
Pardon?
you said the surplus, you're gonna store it, are you gonna store the surplus that you're gonna send to Haiti?
I still didn't get it, I'm
The
sorry.
surplus, the equipment, you're just gonna store it and not discard it, right?
Yeah, we'll store it. I think we've had it stored at the old library building
Yes, sir, correct.
on the elementary campus. But this way, as we identify it, we can go ahead and make it shippable.
All right.
And then if something comes up over the next few months and we're unable to do it, we'll have it prepared for surplus to dispose of.
Oh, so you're talking about swapping them out? The newer
Yeah,
stuff,
the
go
old
ahead
stuff
and
that we
prepare
have
that.
held, let's just go ahead and discard it.
Yeah,
And new stuff that we've got coming in that we're identifying, we could hold it for AT and that kind of thing. All right. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. All right, on new business, we have the new business items of summary of purchases over $10,000 that we had granted to do. Any questions on those? Any comments?
I hope you've been getting everything I've been sending you, and I appreciate it more than you know, because it has allowed us to get orders in that now are seemingly backing up greater and greater and greater. And with getting these orders in now, we're going to be able to have them in a timely manner to the best of our ability instead of after the first of the year. So, again, I appreciate it, and if you ever have any questions, let us know. But Matt and his team are doing an outstanding job of presenting that and then giving a total at the end of the month. So,
Again, remind us, these classroom cameras are allowing us to do virtual classrooms.
they're allowing you
They're
to
expanding us to do
have
that.
virtual live, which is virtual live and presentation of classes. It's partnerships with Wiregrass that our kids can take their classes being at our school and vice versa. It allows us to have the availability to record live, and then it has the availability to record for best practices for teaks, leaks, things like that. So it's an outstanding opportunity all the way around.
Other question, are we marketing the fact that we offer, you know, I've seen advertisements on TV about ABC or whatever, classroom or whatever. Are we into that yet?
When all things are complete, and as we start to get them completed, those things will be advertised more and more and more as we get to completing our newer building. And it's probably going to come a lot faster than that after having a conversation with Wiregrass today and the need that they have for teachers as well as everybody else, that we're going to have to really start thinking out the box with our partners and how to share the opportunities for all kids to be successful. I've already talked to Dr. Clayton, that if he was missing a teacher in English, just like we are now, based off the change, that his kids could be in class over there and take English from our teacher over here. And it might have to happen vice versa. And that's the partnership we have under the College and Career Academy grant. So yes, sir, it's coming. It's coming greater and greater. We just want to make sure we have all the equipment in and everything ready before we start advertising.
Update on opening of the school year?
I just got done, actually, I was in the truck trying to get the phone to go through. We just had a fantastic tour with a great set of people that came through, and I had to meet before that and then after that tour, basically to solidify colors. So now we've solidified all the colors and everything of where it's going to go and how it's going to go. And I just approved that today, and they will actually start painting tomorrow. You will have exterior doors, hallways will be locked off. You'll have air conditioning systems that are going in now, wall units going in, electric's pulled. Things are moving very, very quickly. And of course, my goal is to be in January 1st. And that's what I'm going to uphold. And right now, the good Lord is blessing us with that opportunity.
I think this day was the opening of the school year. Also, wasn't it? I mean, and we just talking about the new school, was it?
Well, yeah, what about?
You know, we prepared, that's what I took off.
July?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I couldn't hear you. I was going, where was that on the agenda? Anyway, I was going with it, so I apologize. That's Mr. Sermon's category, y'all. Leave me out of it.
He's superintendent, I just follow suit.
Golly. I swore I heard him say about the new school.
Hey, I follow suit as superintendent. Again, Mr. Chairman and school board, opening up the school year is progressing along. Cinderella has done an excellent job cleaning our facilities. If you walk in those buildings, although some are old, they've done an excellent job of cleaning our facilities. And if you look at our COVID numbers, Ms. Clemens said in the school year, a lot goes to Cinderella. They're on it. Ms. Debbie and crew is on it. But as we quickly get ready for Wednesday, July the 28th, we have students back in the building. You know, when I tell different people from different counties about we'll be in school the 28th, they say, man, we still going to the beach. But I said, well, we get it back when our kids are out those weeks and y'all are still in school. So the 28th is our first day of school, and it's coming quickly, and I can go ahead and tell you, we're expecting everybody to be back in school in Fishkill. We want all our students back face to face. It's a requirement. However, if every parent has a decision to meet with the school administration team to decide digital learning, and the 23rd of July is the last day to do that. So they'll meet with the school RTI team, and they'll decide based on the student portfolio on whether they're going to be back in live class or digital. But we still have to offer that opportunity. But our goal is to have everyone back in class at the start of school, all our students. With that being said, Dr. Harrison, Ms. Clemens spoke about COVID. Dr. Harrison will be getting with the regional superintendents, and they'll come up with a plan based on the guidelines. As you know, we're still looking at the D variant, you know, different things that's going on with COVID. So do that mean COVID is gone? No, but do that mean we're going to be careful? Yes. We're still going to continue to teach our kids about being COVID safe, you know, and our staff as well. Masks are optional. So students have a choice to wear masks or not wear masks, and that's up to their parents. As we move on through the opening of school, new teacher orientation is July the 20th in this very room. Board members, you're invited to come meet with all our new family members. And as I say family members, we got to continue to call them family. That's the only way we're going to keep them, and that's on the 20th. We have 30 new teachers in this room, 30, on July the 20th. And we still will be 6 teachers short of our goal. You say, well, what about those classes? Through all the administration at our school system, they've made do of minimizing class size by moving and changing schedules and making it work. So we're still 6 teachers short. As Mr. Sims, the ELA teacher, and He need a assistant ROTC teacher, and then Mr. Merritt need 2 kindergarten teachers, and Mr. Jones, I think he need a 3rd and a 4th grade teacher. So we still need teachers, but we're not just Fitzgerald. It's statewide, it's worldwide. When you at Lowndes County High School and you still need teachers in Valdosta that offers everything, you know we need teachers. You know, along with Tiff County and Coffee County, they need teachers. So as Mr. Heitzman always say, we just got to find a way to grow our own. You know, because what we do in Ben Hill, we kind of landlocked. So we battle Irwin for their teachers, we battle Coffee for their teachers, Turner for their teachers, and Tiff for their teachers. And I can tell you, teachers done got into the market of playing chess with us. Ms. Brooks, yes. You know, they'll say they're gonna come, and then they school offer them something, and we offer a little bit more, and then offer a little bit more, and so teachers become a hot commodity now. You know, so we're 6 teachers short, and we're working on that. Our veteran teachers will be back on July the 22nd, and then our open house will be July the 26th. But even to look at COVID, either on the 22nd or the 23rd of July, we're gonna have the health department come in, and we're gonna offer vaccinations for our teachers that still need to be vaccinated. That's not students, that's still a parent's choice, and we're not even gonna offer it to the students on our campus at this time. But on the 22nd or the 23rd, I'm working with the health department to come set up a site to still offer vaccines for our students. Do we have any other questions about the start of school?
What time is the new teacher orientation?
It'll start at 8 o'clock here on the 20th.
Thank you.
What is the new law, I think, about some sort of immunization, a new kind of immunization that students are supposed to get?
It was something dealing with 11th grade students, and it hadn't kind of came down the pipe to us yet, but it's some kind of shot by meningitis. I was reading something on that, but it's about 11th grade students, a new immunization that they gotta have to be in school, but it hadn't come all the way down.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman.
All right, as a follow-up of our decision to have Fitzgerald Oil Bond provide our utilities and sewers, we had to sign an agreement. And for your information, we have done that. We have attached a copy of that for your reading pleasure. Also, we have a MOU with Wiregrass that we need to make you aware of for our CTAE services as a continued part of our partnership. Anything you need to say on either one of those, or any questions?
Tony actually did a fantastic job, Ms. Sawyer, of working with James Stuckey and Waterlight and Bond, and then Greg Smith, and our architect, and had saw some issues at different school systems based off of utility contracts. So did an outstanding job of going back and looking at ours and making sure things were covered for the future and down the road. And it's a wonderful partnership, and we're very excited about it. Same thing with Wiregrass, normal partnership based off the fact of sharing teachers on our campus versus their campus, and how that works back and forth with the MOU.
Will you explain the financial aspect of that for me? Maybe Mr. Palmer, we're new to the cost.
So but basically what happens is we give them money based off of having our kids go over there
For the dual enrollment?
and dual enrollment, and they turn around and have to give us money back for our teachers being certified
Gotcha.
teaching for them. And under that standpoint, we also allow people that are working for us to be, quote, hired under them, but we share the cost of how that looks for their salaries based on.
What is the comparison from a year ago to this new contract,
Since it doubled.
The
money-wise?
number of kids dual enrolled, number of teachers that are falling under that condition.
Yeah, but amount of money. I thought we were like $3,000 a month.
I'll have to go back and look. I don't have it with me.
Now, I mean, it's quarterly at 30,000 plus, I mean, so it's 10,000 a month now. So I'm trying to figure out what the difference is. Why is it so
Based
high?
off of salary. So they hired a person based off of the fact that we have, and we're paying their salary through that part of it also.
I'm still making up.
I don't understand the
I
question.
mean, I understand that the increase on the money,
It's
So-
through salary.
I understand, so how many more teachers are we getting from them?
We're not. They hired a person that we're using based off of that, and we're paying a conditional part of their salary through that partnership. And that's what the increase is for.
So they've hired an extra teacher, basically that we're using.
That's correct.
Well, my question is, the memo of understanding, does it go through the same scrutiny as our contracts? Did Mrs.
Yes,
Sophie
ma'am.
draw it up as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I know what you're saying. I noticed that it's like we had an old contract that said one amount, a memo of understanding, excuse me, and then underneath it, there's another one with almost double the amount of money, and so it looked like something changed within the year. So you're just saying different teachers?
I'm saying different positions. So for example, under the process of what we're doing is that you have a person serving in dual roles. One person serving CTA director, but also a college and career processing person. So under that dual enrollment piece of it, what they're in charge of is not only CTAE, but every child that's going through the college aspect, they're going to be in charge of them, tracking them, meeting with parents, making sure that they're following through, just like on the quote option B from the state, which is work ready. We have a person that's going to be in charge of that in meeting with all the parents, so those kids can sign up for option B, and they can make sure that they're tracking them so that they have completion of their programs. So that's what our whole goal is. You have somebody over here that's tracking kids and meeting with parents to discuss what this option is of college and career. Then you have this person over here that is dealing with nothing but work-ready options. But this person over here has a vast experience from the college aspect of it, and this person over here has a vast experience from the business and industry side. And that's where we're pushing how we're dealing with kids and where their pathways are going.
So we outsourcing part of the college and career responsibilities?
Under the condition of our partnership with Wiregrass, yes. This is
So
no different.
what benefit do we get out of Wiregrass?
This is no different than when Dr. Stokes was with us. She was paid under Wiregrass as their employee, but she was in charge of our dual enrollment. It's the same process.
So instead of us hiring somebody to do that for us, we have contracted with Wiregrass.
Just like we do with regular teachers that are sitting in the CTAE program. It's the same exact thing. It's like if we have teachers that we use out there and we have to pay them for that service, or they have to pay us at the end of the year for that service.
Does it take one person to do each one of those things? I mean, is that a full-time job every day of the week?
There's 820 boys and girls in that high school, and it starts at 9th grade. So they're going to be in charge of that based off of the number of kids every day, monitoring that on top of everything else.
So the career, I'm probably speaking, using the wrong terms, but the career path people and the dual enrollment are separate?
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, I certainly appreciate our partnership with Wiregrass, because that's just fantastic, whether it's for a career path or if it's for dual enrollment. I guess my concern was, and it's a little bit confusing if you look at our attachments, there's like 3 different contracts on there, all of them saying 21, 22, and so it was a little bit confusing to us because they had different amounts. But so long as the memo of understanding has gone through the scrutiny of our attorney, I feel perfectly fine to move forward.
Right. So the person that's doing CTAE and the college and career pathway, we're paying half of their salary based off the CTAE grant. Dr. Sutton was doing.
Sure. I'm
That-
just saying, if all that paperwork would not have been attached in here, we wouldn't be so confused.
Right, but I guess that's where the increase is coming from, based off of the total salary versus what we're paying and what the grants pay.
So we're not paying Mark anymore for that job. They've hired somebody and we're paying part of that.
Correct.
Okay. That's the.
I'm sorry.
That's the increase.
Yes.
Mark's gone away.
That's-
He's retired.
Yes.
They've hired somebody, they're doing it.
That's all I'm doing, is just putting it in and giving a double responsibility based off of that.
Sean, one thing that Shirley was talking about, I think, because I had the same concern she did, is, and I finally figured it out, that $5,100 Shirley's looking at on there, and then the next one goes to 10-2, that's because the dates on there are from June the 15th to June the 30th on that first contract, it's a half a month. And then you go into the full month fee of 10-2.
Okay.
There's two contracts.
Because we brought the person in early,
Yeah.
based off of
It's
that.
like a half a month contract of 5,100. And then it starts the full year at 10-2 per month.
Right. That's the difference of what the salary
That
is.
confused
Okay.
me when I looked at it.
Yeah.
All right. I understand what you're asking.
Okay.
Okay. Does that make sense? Mr. Horn?
Yeah. Physical utilities agreement. So we're doing an agreement for 50 years, but there's a 10-year term for negotiation. So why can't we do the agreement for 10 years instead of 50? If we can renegotiate, or they want to renegotiate the prices, why can't we do the term for 10 years instead of 50?
That's up to
For
the
the
board.
agreement?
I put it in there based off the fact of the discussion that we won't be here. And that it was, in case something happened, that it would be in place for that long. But I understand what you're asking. That's up to the board. If you want to change it to that agreement, we can get it changed.
I understand the Fitzgerald Water Light and Bond is gonna have a huge investment in things that they're gonna bring out there. I looked at that 50-year thing too, and I was wondering, do we not think that there's gonna be some kind of change in our energy consumption as well as our energy sources for the next 50 years? I mean, we
Right.
may need wind chimes or solar. In 50 years, we might be using something else, is my point. But you know, I'm not going to argue that because I do know that you had the attorney look at it and she drafted it, so.
The water line bond agreement only.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, yeah. The 50-year agreement.
So, is it the board's pleasure I go back and change it to 10?
What's normal?
That's the great question, Ms. Martha. What is normal anymore?
Well,
I mean, seriously.
I've just figured that if we're gonna have an agreement of being able to renegotiate at 10 years, the agreement should be for 10 years. That way, if they don't agree, we don't agree, we can just shake hands and go somewhere else.
Hey, at the board's pleasure, what would you like me to do?
Every 10 years.
Every 10 years. Mr. Gary, you want to put that in a motion and we'll get it changed?
I would like to make a motion to change the agreement from 50 years to 10 years.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
I would like to hear what Miss Sawyer, our attorney has to say.
So I was just gonna say, I actually worked with Mr. Crowley with the Water Line Bond Council. So he's here, and I think he has, something he'd like to say about the agreement.
It's currently every 365 days.
Oh, every 365 days, we get an opportunity to change our mind? Even though they're making this huge investment out there, putting in the lift pump and all of that stuff?
They don't care for electric service act, protect the water line bond, the rules of the electric service, bond, the electricity, money's like it is now. Things, somebody does something different,
Yeah.
change,
Okay.
obviously. The agreement offers a termination option on it. It actually requires a year's advance notice to be terminated, what we would have to
Yeah, Joe said that.
It's satisfied with the agreement, have to give 365-day notice at the end of that year. So if next year you decide you want to renegotiate, you'll notice in the year that you renegotiate with you, it's over. So you're not getting trapped in for 50 years.
Okay.
And I can just, explain to Ms. Jager, she asked about the 50-year. So under, Georgia constitutional law, it allows for governmental entities to enter into contracts for up to 50 years for the benefit and support and help and, of various services, which include the public and school district is one of them. So a lot of times in agreements between governments, you'll see they'll just put that 50-year in there, just so it can continue to roll over, if they choose to allow it to roll over, but they do have termination provisions.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other discussion? Any more questions?
The cost on the lighting, on the light poles and all, I see what is a new amount. Do we have that amount?
I don't,
He said it was June 3rd, the
Yeah.
new amount.
I don't have it with me, but yes,
Is it, how much of a difference is from what we were told we were gonna pay?
it was a very minimal amount. The difference is we're buying the lights because of the cost efficiency, and they'll maintain the lights in the agreement.
Yeah, but the cost of it, if you put the light, the poles and all.
It was the $2,000 or $3,000 difference, I believe, is what it was. It wasn't anything, and it was only because of I take that back. Jeff and I had the discussion back in June, and he told me that there was a small increase based off the fact that we had not ordered them from the time that we originally discussed it, and because of that, the company charged more money based off of getting that in.
We were to order the poles, or because the utility was supposed to order the poles.
They were ordering everything, and then they were getting it in, and then they were putting it in simultaneously with Parrish based off of that, because it kept us on timeline with everything else.
Any other questions? Our motion second on the floor to change the agreement terms from 50 years to 10 years. Everybody clear on that? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
I'm unclear. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Four. I'll go five, or 5-2. All those opposed, raise your right hand. 2. Okay, motion carries on 5-2. You got it? Okay. All right. Next is item D. A request to approve the final adoption of the budget for FY '22.
So I would make a recommendation to approve the budget. Mr. Rachel's did a good job on this, and we've had a lot of discussion about it. And if it's the board's pleasure, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer what you need.
Can I ask questions for a motion?
I don't need to have a motion on the
Okay.
floor. Was that- I'll go ahead and make a motion for purposes of discussion that we approve the final budget for FY '22.
Second.
Motion second. Now discussion.
Just as a new board member, thank you for sending me the itemized budget. Is it practice that when we get the itemized budget, and I know you're just moving into this, but it would be nice if the board got the itemized budget to be able to look at. I would think before we voted on a $30 million budget, because at the end of the day, who's responsible for the budget? And I'm just asking those questions so I could have clarity. I asked Dawn to give it to me, she got it to me yesterday, and I was able to peruse over it, and I saw a couple of things I've got questions about. And I was just asking that. I mean, we're going to vote on a pretty big-sized budget here, but yet nobody's looked over, 7 people here has looked over the itemized list.
We actually worked the budget through 2 different work sessions, didn't we? Did we have 2 work sessions that we sit here for hours?
Not an hour.
Not itemized. And like I said, I'm just asking questions, so, I mean, if I need to,
That's the board's pleasure. I mean, we could carry out that, if that's what your request is. I
Right.
mean, that's up to you all. I think in the past, we've just done the budget like this.
Right.
but, You know, that's at the board's pleasure. It's according to what
like I
documents.
said, I'm just asking.
What questions did you find, if you don't mind me
Oh,
asking?
no problem, I'm not gonna ask it.
Oh, okay.
So on page 66, if you had an itemized budget, there's an assistant superintendent salary still in there. I was under the impression that we weren't gonna have that position this year. And then there's, on page 76, there's an accountant salary, which I guess, is that what you, Dawn, is now, our accountant?
No, we have a accountant that we talk to about different things because.
And I think people that see that in public don't understand that there's an accountant being paid for out there.
Yes.
Because people ask that, I mean, people have asked that, I've asked that in previous years as a citizen. But, so those are pretty hefty figures there. So in the budget though, we're looking at an assistant superintendent, so is that gonna be,
Well, I know that that's not me because I've been.
that's where I'm getting at. So you see what I'm saying, and just looking through it, there's just different questions I had about that because I didn't think we had that position any longer.
Now, as accountant, Jess Simpson.
Now, who's that?
We've got a Jess Simpson, we've got a contract with him probably 12, 15, 20 years or so.
There's so much to the budgeting process and federal funds and state and local funds and grants and all these things that come down, that the reporting that goes along with that. If you're not Jim, I think anybody walking into that
Right.
job would have to have somebody as a liaison
Right.
to ask questions.
Right.
And he's done a good job for us. And,
Well, that's cool. I mean, and knowing that, that's fine. I mean, you just see that on the list of it, like, who's the accountant?
Right.
So who would that superintendent, assistant superintendent?
That's clearly a line item of the state. We
Okay.
don't have to.
Well, budgets are pretty fluid to begin with, and so it's kind of just trying to figure out, and even here, you still got $830,000 that's going to be in excess of revenue over expenditures.
Right.
It's a filler.
Now you're gonna have more.
Yeah, you have even more now.
And again, under the understanding that this line item budget was used based off of what had been created before, okay? So when we went through the 2 workshops, there was that inside the budget. When you bring up a great point, it's still in there. But now we'll retract it back out and we'll go back.
Like I said, I maybe just be one of those few that like to look at the,
It's okay. I mean, you bring up a great point. It was something that was in a previous issue. I mean, y'all, we've talked about this thing and we've laid it out. We've talked to the state and Jess and I'm working with him now, is to figure out how I can do it like a checkbook. Here's your total amount. This is what we spend each month and here's the bottom amount. But it's almost entirely impossible. And I'll throw it to Mr. Jim. Is that right, Mr. Jim? In a 90-page document, it's pretty hard to do that.
You know, the only thing I'd say about budgeting, which I've said in the work session, is I'm sort of taking the position that Jeremy does. I mean, I look over every line that's in there. And obviously, if there's not a line in there, then everybody that I work with on budgets, if you overstate a budget expense item, then everybody in management tries to just let that go because it makes them look like heroes at the end of the year because the fund balance or the profit or whatever was better than we budgeted.
Right.
Well, I appreciate Jeremy, I mean, you're right, yeah, you're right. We should look at that. And, I know, that assistant superintendent spot, I'm glad you caught that. But as far as, the accountant, I guess I would say that any $30 million budget, I guess, I hope we do have an accountant, but I do appreciate you for convicting me, I guess all I'll say. For convicting me, I guess, because that's what we're supposed to do. also responsible to do, I guess, as board members, to, look at those things. I promise you going forward, Jeremy, I'm with you. All right.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea for a matter of practice. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. Because we've got, you bring up things, you've identified things that we've got, just kind of, I don't want to use the word complacent, but I just did, too, but, we've got.
And I want to thank Dawn though, because looking at the itemized budget, you've made it easier, to me, it's easier to look at than when I looked at last year. So you have done a good
Well, I'm
job on
learning
that.
like you, there's 1,000 codes and 1,000 objects and functions and all this, and, it's a learning curve, I'm sure,
Right.
for the board as well, to sit down and look at a 90-page budget line item it will take a long time, so you have to,
Next year, as we do
Invest that
budgeting,
time.
you just send it to us, and it's our freedom to look at it. Just like any other report.
That's right.
We choose to look at it or not, or how much detail we look at. We'll look at that as our budget process next year.
Thank you.
It's easy to overlook some things, so we apologize.
And it's just our transparency. Yeah,
That's it.
that's it.
sure, Joe.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the budget for fiscal year 22. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. All right, we have the school times for beginning of school for 21, 22. Entertain a motion to approve those.
So good.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
The elementary, one school had 241 closing, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Not a minute longer.
No, 4 minutes.
Right from the start, told me, one more
I
minute.
just.
Dr. Barnes,
I understand.
with the timing like it is, transportation is going to be good.
We're flexible, we'll make it happen, we'll get them there, we'll get them home.
Good deal.
Good answer, man.
Good answer. She was ready.
I'm just
Jim, check her arm right there and make sure she.
I'm gonna stand up on Dr. Barnes' behalf, is that principals always want their times, okay? That's just natural. Dr. Barnes has done an outstanding job of meeting all those needs and then some. But here's the key factor to meeting these needs, especially as we move forward to go to January, to go further out from our schools. It's the only way to meet that need is increase the bus fleet of replacement for good buses with air conditioning. Because now we're going to have to look at transportation as a hub of transferring kids at the old high school to make time to work effectively. So these are all the conversations that we're having. So I'm going to throw that out there, that as we move forward, those are going to be more conversations about increasing the bus fleet of what we have versus what needs to be replaced. And that's going to help us with transportation and make it much simpler on boys and girls and our schools.
Thank you. The new buses we bought, haven't they been air conditioned?
Yes, ma'am. When I came in the door, we had 0.
That's what I thought.
We have done an outstanding job, but we need to continue to move forward and do that for all of them.
All the parents just want to know about the cameras. They going back up.
Mr. Jim, what? I'm moving in the right direction. What? No, the cameras are not going back up. That is not our decision. I told you, they weren't our cameras. They're not going back up, and that has nothing to do with anything that people complained or anything like that. It has to do with the company itself.
What cameras are you talking about?
Speed cameras that have taken many of y'all's pictures. Many of people sitting in this room.
$74. Was it like a trial or something?
It was not. It was a full agreement, and it's a great thing for safety and that the company itself would not live up to what the contract had in place, and therefore that's why it had to be done away with.
It was poor
Can I
management.
get my money back?
No. Now, let's discuss, I'm glad you said that. Let's discuss this. That is a humongous topic that people were like, oh, Sean, you're spending the money on this, you're spending the money on that. It's not our money. It is the sheriff and the court's money. Now, what I will tell you is this, is the sheriff and I have had detailed conversations about it. They do have a lump sum of money, and they are willing to put that money forth to safety and security in our school system. And that's what we're going to use it for. So, it's on record. That's where we're going, and that's what we're doing.
Can we put up cameras ourselves?
We could do a lot, Miss Martha. I can get you out there with train you how to do radar.
You don't have enough guns.
So now with the new start times, you can just get there quicker.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more discussion on the start times? All those in favor of approving the start times as presented to you, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. We have a spending resolution for August 2021. I'll make a motion that we approve that. It's not showing up.
Not showing up. Broke. Yeah.
Spending resolution isn't showing up.
It's not working for me either.
Huh.
It's not working for me. Saying the file got corrupted.
Just go on and keep trying, or?
It's not gonna.
Who was the kid now?
You got a spending resolution?
Dr. Harrelson has it right there, the original. It's just like last month's, but the date changed.
Spending resolution. Sorry. Don't remember having a conversation. Whereas the Ben Hill County Board of Education, for good and sufficient reason, is unable to adopt a budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021, the ending June 30th, 2022. And whereas the public exigency is best served in authorizing the superintendent to continue to spend funds and continue operations. Now therefore be it resolved by the Ben Hill County Board of Education that the superintendent may extend funds from all funds for the month of August 2021 not to exceed 1/12 of the final amended budget for all funds for the fiscal year of June 30th, 2022, plus debt services, capital expenditures known to be due in August of 2021. That's the resolution.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, I said.
She just did a second. She just did a second.
Okay. Again, this is a normal activity for this time of year, because we hadn't approved the budget yet. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. We have a request for extended day, half an hour extended day for fiscal year 22 for our certified staff. I entertain a motion, we approve that.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
Yes. the 30-minute extended day, that this money is coming from the American Rescue Plan, but I was just wondering, is 30 minutes going to be enough for us to be able to put in the interventions that we need to get our children back up? It's from the elementary and secondary school emergency fund. Is it going to be enough? 30 minutes, I mean, I would just think that we would probably want to do an after-school program or
At the
something.
end of the day, you think about K-5 students, their attention span's already gone for the day. A lot of this will be used for learning loss for our most at-risk students. We can pull them into small groups where the attention span will be, you know, there won't be as many distractions. Teachers can work with students in small groups. Also, this will allow our teachers to be provided with professional learning during some of these opportunities, because students won't be staying every day after school. We'll have tutoring for this, for learning loss during this time. Some of that might occur before school in grades 6 through 12. But a lot of this is, we have intervention times built into the school day. One of the things we don't have at K-5 is we don't have a whole lot of planning time for those interventions. K-5 teachers, they might have 40 minutes of planning a day, and they teach every subject. So, you know, some of this will be planning time, some of this will be tutorial, some of this will be small group pull out for reading, some of it will be PLC times where they get together and look at data to see what students they need to target, maybe above and beyond the interventions provided during the school day. And this doesn't exceed an after-school program that might come into play as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with this, but we had to spend 20% on learning loss. And we felt like who better to provide those interventions than our own teachers who know our students and who look at their data every day in grades K through 12.
And with this, I guess our principals will have their flexibility to be able to allow their staff that 30-minute extra window,
Yes.
how they see fit.
Yes. And this was approved in our CARES budget application by CARES 3. So that was a
And so
reason.
it meets the compliance of
Yes,
all of
ma'am, it
that,
does.
for the money to be used that way. So with children, it says all teachers, so does that mean that it's going to be applied to all children?
Yes, from every subgroup.
Right.
We don't have any kids that don't need this. I mean, we've been out of school, you know, total of basically 7 months from March to August, and then we were out a few weeks during the, you know, the time we were out. But this applies to everybody. No kid, there's no time that a kid can't use more of instruction, of intervention, of acceleration, because this could be an acceleration time as well. That's right.
Well, I was concerned about our students with disabilities, and I was wondering if they also would be included
Yes,
in this
ma'am.
extra. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So this extra time is coming out of the CARES money, right?
Yes.
Do we have a plan on how we're gonna continue that after we run out of money? And we won't have to keep increasing our budget?
Well, I think that one thing you have to understand is that this money is right now. But to project for the long term, we've already had that discussion. We've had that discussion about giving teachers a supplement which was taken away back during the Great Recession. And we have had that discussion about, like Thomas said to you all, about doing that later on. The thing that this allowed us to do was this allowed us to invest in learning loss and with our teachers without having to use our budget this year. But as you can see, from year to year, a budget's very, very fluid and very flexible, and money comes and money goes. But I think one thing you can count on is the title funds. And title funds would let us do some of these things with intervention if we didn't have this money. This money can be spent over 3 years. And so we've only been allocated 65% of it. So we still have 35% left. But, you know, we're always thinking about how can we give back to our teachers? And one of the best ways to do that is to let them have this money, because they're the ones who are on the front lines and doing that.
So with that, we talked about it in the work session or either last meeting, just being sure our teachers understand that
Right.
if this were to go away.
A one-time thing. But you have teachers that stay every day 30 extra minutes. I mean, you don't have people that are running out the door, they got stuff to do.
Right.
So, you know, this is just a bonus for them as well. And it gives us time to look at data, make things better, have professional learning, have tutorial. all the things that we can do with it, we're gonna do.
Good deal.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion to approve the extended date, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Next item, we have the first read of policy BCBI, which is public participation at board meetings. As I mentioned earlier in the meeting, for July the 1st forward, we'll have a time during each regular board meeting for public participation for somebody to come in and sign up. Still can go by the superintendent's office anytime they want to and discuss an item.
Absolutely.
And be placed on the agenda. This is not to be placed on the agenda, this is just for public comments. And so that's the first read for that policy, and I'll entertain a motion we approve that.
Move to approve the public participation policy BCBI for first reading.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All right, this will lay on the table for 30 days, and then we will vote on that. We have a first read for GARHB, which is paid parental leave. I'll entertain a motion we approve that.
I move to approve policy GARHB, paid parental leave.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion. We'll also lay that on the table for 30 days and vote on that at the August meeting. Next item of business, I'll entertain a motion we approve the surplus of technology equipment that's been presented to you.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor of the surplus of this equipment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the surplus of the old ticket booth. You want to examine it, it's down at the Armory.
I move to approve the surplusing of the ticket booth. Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
Yes, so would that go on the government surplus item, or will it be sold locally?
We can do either, the board chooses. I would suggest it be sold locally rather than on Gov Deals. I think there's several people in the community that have inquired about it, so.
Can we donate it to the band and ROTC, they can sell it?
Sure. That's up to the board.
I'm sorry.
Surplus it and make it available to the band and ROTC to be able to either auction off or sell it to raise money for their trip.
Oh, what a great idea. Great idea.
If not, Sean is gonna try putting on his sun cameras on it.
Gonna put it on the back of it. You got room?
So I would like to make a motion to donate it to the band and the ROTC for them to dispose of it, take some money out of it.
Motion would be to surplus it, to donate it to band ROTC for the availability to raffle or auction off.
So that's an amendment to my motion?
That would be.
Yes, I'll take that amendment.
Is there a second to the amendment? Okay. All right, voting on the amendment first is that the proceeds, well, no, that we, in an essence of surplusing it, that we would donate it to the band and ROTC as surplus to be sold, auctioned, whatever they want to do to it in their fundraiser.
Yep.
All right, voting on the amendment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Amendment passes. Voting on the full motion that's been amended, that we surplus the ticket booth. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Next item of business is a purchase order to Rush Truck Center. It's for the replacement of a motor, $12,432.19. There's an invoice attached there. I think the purchase order was actually up under the certified extended date. That's where it was on mine anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Entertain a motion to approve the purchase order for motor. Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve that purchase order. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the GSBA dues for fiscal year '22. That is $6,746.
I move to approve the membership dues for GSBA.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the GSSA dues for 2022, and that's $1,830.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve to GSBA our assembly software subscription, which is what you're using. It's $12,640 for the year. Our e-board, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the GSBA City software subscription.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the GSBA annual policy alerts and update service, that is $600. Got a motion, is there a second?
Yes.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Anybody want to make a report on the GSBA summer conference? That was hybrid.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, as you all know, you pay a good deal of money for us to go to the summer conference. This year we weren't able to go to Savannah, but some people did go to Savannah, but many of us took it virtually, and so the cost was still the same. We have to have 6 hours of training, so the training that we have a choice of 2 different trainings, and the training that I took was policy and legal matters, and so I would like to discuss just a few of those items with you. Of course, they talked about the challenges we have had in the last year and a half of COVID and what's going to happen after COVID. Virtual meetings and learning will probably be here to stay in some form or another. Every size doesn't fit all, but Georgia law, as Mr. Sermons just told you, requires a virtual option for some of our students. Student privacy issues were in question. We actually had cameras and people home in full view of their teacher and all the students in their classroom. So there's a lot of legal action that is going on about that at this time. We learned more about the federal privacy laws, the FERPA, the pupil rights, and the PPRA. And while parents have the right to view their children's records, that does not include the records of other students. Online Privacy Act was discussed. It was suggested that our attorney review our technology contract to ensure that the district has control over personal information about our students and to protect that information from third-party vendors. You know how they sell your personal information from one to the other? There was a discussion related to IDEA and the HIPAA laws concerning special ed students and 504 students in regard to sharing their personal identifiable information. That includes data. Zoom meetings and virtual meetings, if recorded, are subject to the Open Records Law. We've already talked about the new law for paid parental leave, which is on our agenda, and we discussed it earlier. There's a question that's on the mind of many as to whether the board should or could mandate COVID vaccinations for all. The legal answer is yes. The political answer is not worth the fight. And so there's another new law we've already talked about, public participation, and that went into effect July 1. And while we already have public participation each month, as our chairman explained, it now will actually be on our monthly agenda. Policy revisions will need to be done so that we can be in line with that, because you're no longer required to give us 24-hour notice if you want to speak before the board. We were told that Georgia has the largest surplus it has had in years. So with so much flexibility and cash on hand, we're hoping that that will cover some of our austerity cuts and that it'll go towards teacher raises. However, that is left up to the governing body, and that's a pay scale above me. House Bill 98, meeting participation by teleconference. Now, did you catch this, Gary? That we'll be able, as board members, to be out of town or sick, and we can still be on a teleconference, but we can only do it 2 times a year. That is it. And a quorum must be present in order for us to do it. House Bill 88, I thought was pretty good news, going to return some veteran teachers back to the classroom because of the teacher shortage that we're currently experiencing. And then another item was, of course, we had the 2020 census during the pandemic year, and so we will be redrawing district lines probably by September the 30th. Then we had lunch. That's all what that, and it's a 3-day conference, y'all, sitting there, you know, staring. But when we came back, and I'll make this brief, teachers' free speech, that was an item that came up, especially when it comes to social media. And this is the question they told us to ask. Can they carry out their duties effectively after they post something controversial? And that will be the decision the courts will ask. They discuss some other court rulings that you might find interesting. Of course, there are always civil rights issues, sexual harassment, transgender issues, Title IX issues, racial disparity in discipline, racial disparity in academic achievement. There was cyberbullying and the impact of critical race theory on just teaching history. So I got a few takeaways. I'll leave you with that. One of them, I would love for us to form a student advisory council. Y'all think we might could do that and look at that? Because I was really fascinated with the kids' ideas, and I need to listen to our students. And of course, our superintendent has already told us that we're going to deal with the emotional and mental wellness of our students and our workforce by creating a climate of support and welfare with what he's getting into. And Brandon Freeman was a Harvard Diversity Program college professor, and this is what he asked me to remind you of. Remind participants. Be compassionate with our students. Place humility before education. Connect with children as humans. Let our students know that they are safe here, and this is the place they can come to get help. You can't lead people if you don't love people. Love first, teach second. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, ma'am. Anybody else? Thank you, ma'am. All right, on upcoming events, you have dates and times there that's already been discussed about orientation, open house, first day of school. We do have a call meeting on July 29th at 5 p.m. to set the millage. It's a little bit earlier than our normal meeting because what we passed, we have to get to the county because they're meeting at 5:30 or 6. So we've got to get ours to them. We have our regular meeting August the 10th, and that will be a return to our normal boardroom at the central office. And our board training annual reports due October 1st. And got an email on the Georgia Academy for Economic Development. If any of you would like to attend that, you can self-appoint. And
What is that about, Gary?
Sean and I went probably, gosh, 4 years ago now. We went to Tiffin. It's it's a 4-week, it's 1 day per month for 4 months. And it's talking about regional economic development activities and brainstorming with other communities about what you're doing, what they're doing, a good learning process.
And it is offered virtually, right? If you can't go to one of those locations?
Yes, there's a virtual link there.
Okay, which is
I
new.
suggest
I missed
that it's well worth the board's time. Basically, they teach you county, city, and how it interacts with the school system, and how that partnership is so vital for communities to become prosperity and economic growth and development. And it's outstanding. And there's people from all over the South, and you have your economic development leaders from the state come down and present and run the program along with our finest Jason Dunn, and he does an outstanding job with the program. And I would highly recommend it. If you have the time, take advantage of it.
Yeah, if you got time to go, I'd recommend that you go in this. It's not just school systems. It's school, it's economic development, it's city, county, health department, a lot of different folks. And
Can I get back with you?
sure, I would encourage you to attend in person. I mean, you just get so much more out of it. Reading people's faces and that kind of stuff. And I think the district, did we pay the registration fee?
We did.
And the transportation? It's an official act of the board.
Yeah, the closest one to us seems like Moultrie.
It's Moultrie now.
Okay, thank you.
Let us know when we get you submitted.
Okay.
All right, moving into personnel and executive.
Mr. Chairman, before we
Yes,
do
ma'am.
that, I'm sorry I didn't ask this question earlier. The meeting that's going to be on the 29th, the one to vote on, is that the only thing that's going to be on the agenda?
On the 29th,
The 5:30
the
meeting?
millage should be the only thing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
One other thing we had under announcements, our pre-K and exemption, that struck me, I thought it was on here, but I remembered it was an email.
So
That's a big deal.
Ms. Brown has been doing, again, one of the best jobs in the state of Georgia. And under that condition, when we talked about it and I challenged her to reach out and develop the 3-year-old programs, she took it on and did more than you could ever ask. Well, during that process, she got approved for that. But I'm going to let her explain exactly what this means, because she's the one who was able to do it. And all she needed from me was the nod to do it. So, Ms. Brown, you want to explain the great news?
Good evening, everyone. We are very fortunate and thankful to be able to receive our exemption status for our 3-year-old preschool class. It has been a long time waiting. We started back earlier this year, as Dr. Harrelson said, when he gave me the okay to go ahead and begin the process. We started out with applying for the licensure for the 3-year-old preschool CCLC, and went through that process. Went to class, went to various workshops in order to gain the knowledge of what we needed to do for that process. And once we completed, there was a section A that we had to complete first and get the classrooms prepared, and then there was a section B. So once we completed the section A, which was a quite lengthy process and thick packet, and once they called me back after they received that application, mind you, we had asked while I was in my classes if we needed to go through this process, because we have a pre-K here under the Board of Education. But when we called, my instructor at that time, when we called, we were told, and I was on the phone with her two-way, and they told us, no, you still have to go through the licensure process. So we continued on with that process, submitted application A, and once we submitted application a few weeks later, they called back and said, do you really want to go through the licensure process? And I said, well, we were told that we had to go through the licensure process. So that's why you have the application. And she said, well, you really don't have to do this. And I said, oh, we don't? And she said, no, you can do the exemption process. And I said, oh. And I said, well, if you tell me about the exemption process, I said, we can get the exemption process going. So she explained the exemption process, and she went on to explain, well, you know, you're under a government agency, so you can apply for the exemption process and gain that exemption, and then you will be able to have your 3-year-old class within your school entity. And during that time, since she mentioned that, I said, well, does that mean that we are under you, or are we just under our Board of Education? And she said, no, you will not be under the right from the start guidelines there, so you'll be waived from right from the start guidelines. I said, oh, okay, well, thank you. Okay, so I went through and got the information to apply for the exemption process, which did not take. I called Mr. Gary. We were trying to get information from him. Ms. Sawyer, trying to get information from her, with Mr. Ashley and Dr. Harrelson, trying to get all the information together, and I actually completed that application in one afternoon. So it did not take long for that one, and so we got that done and then went through that process. And so this week we gained our certificate of exemption, so we have all of that ready so that we can begin our process on
So will that start this school year, the 3 years?
Yes, we are. That is what we were aiming for, to start this school year. So that's why I kept at different people trying to get everything done, because we wanted to start when the school year started. So tomorrow we'll open up our interest application, actually at 12 midnight tonight, and so it will post tonight, and that interest application will go out online and be online for 3 days until Friday night at 11:59 p.m. And then we will have our lottery draw on Monday.
So it'll be a lottery draw?
Yes, it will be a lottery draw. And so we'll have that on Monday, and we will have 16 students, 8 students in each class, and we'll have our 2 classes for this school year.
Awesome.
Yes, and so we're looking forward to it, and I thank all of you all for your support and encouragement and guidance for us to get this going, because this only means more for our early learning process here within our community. As you know, the early learning process means a lot, and is very, very important for not only here, but for our students in our primary, elementary, middle, and high school level, because the earlier you're able to get them educated and provide that nurturing and the exposure to them early, they will be able to do nothing but grow from here on after. So we're looking forward to providing that for them. Our teachers are prepared. The teacher assistants are prepared in the 3-year-old program, and they are aware of how to bridge that gap there between the 3-year-old classes and 4-year-old classes. So we're looking forward to getting that prepared and moving right along and getting our boys and girls ready for kindergarten. So it's the primary.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
How many other communities around us have a 3-year-old program?
Well, when they asked about the exemption process, she only told me of one. So I called that county, and they gave me information. So there was only one that I was aware of at that time. The one we went to visit back earlier this year, Brooks County, they're under the licensure process. So that's how we were going through that particular process. But I'm only aware of one at this time, but other schools have been calling us now. So they're in the process of trying to do the exemption process as well.
Great, good deal. Thank you. All right, moving into personnel. Does anybody have any reason to go into executive session on any of these? Okay. All right, looking at the recommendations, I entertain a motion to approve the employments of Iris James Paul, Kendrecia Golden, Godfrey Simmons, Margie Benoit, Rosalind Williams, Haley Carnley, Rhonda Edwards, Peyton Dix, Angel Kelly, and Bonnie Kelly for those
Motion.
positions listed. Motion second?
Second.
A motion second, any discussion? All those in
Mr.
favor?
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, would you please read the ones that you're making the recommendation for over again? I'm sorry. Is it the top ones?
It's just the top ones. The top action items.
Okay, got it.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the ratification of the prior action items that we took on June the 11th, June the 15th, and June the 21st, and July the 1st. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, that's for the prior actions that we took. It gets down from Timothy Burks to Allie Oliver. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Next item, I entertain a motion to approve the salary increase on Peyton Sutton, HVAC technician from 45 to 55,000. Is there a motion for that?
Did she make a motion?
All right, got a motion, is there a second? I'll second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just, I mean, I appreciate everybody's effort, but, you know, could there be like a gradual increase? It seems like an awful lot.
Basically, right now, if you go out and look for a certified HVAC technician, that person does more for us than we could ever repay back based off of a salary. And in order to keep quality people from other people taking our quality people, we need to keep up with what they're being offered.
Now, is Peyton our only certified?
Yes.
Yeah.
You might want to tell the kids the next job fair about that.
It is unbelievable at the need.
I'm sure they're hard to find.
It is going to be an issue where this is, like I told y'all, we have great people and they're certified and other people can't find them and they are coming after them. And we cannot afford nothing. To hire and go out to have this service by a company, you're going to pay twice that.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir. Mr. Miller.
Well, you know, we both came in the door a day apart, and October will be 2 years. We have yet to call in an outside company to do any HVAC work. We've taken care of all of it in-house.
And we used to contract that, right? We used to contract that service out, right?
Well, you had employees, but, I mean, there was a lot of contract work coming in, but I mean, you didn't have, you know, he's a very valuable asset.
And that was my next question. I mean, how many times have we called, or do we
Zero.
need to call somebody?
Zero.
It should pay by itself.
Exactly.
You bet don't call nobody tomorrow.
Well, you know.
Wait till next week.
Ms. Clemens brought to our attention just this year, we've saved over $90,000 in that field just alone, right off the bat. So,
He ain't getting that.
We're working on it.
Any other questions?
I hope in our career path that we're working on teaching some of our kids how to make this kind of money.
here's the whole deal, Ms. Shirley, we'll teach any kid to do any skill. You find them and tell them to go into it and get them to go into it, and we'll teach them. It's just an issue where it's hot, and it's dirty work, and it's tough work, and that's the difference.
Well, and Peyton wants to stay with our
Exactly.
school system. He's got a kid that goes to school here. I mean, he's, you know, he was born and raised here. We talk about it a lot. I mean, he loves his job, and he does a great job.
Yep.
Can Peyton give some classes at the new high school?
That's
Some
exactly
kids that
right, y'all.
wanna learn how to do it.
That's exactly right.
It's a good
There's
idea. It's a good idea.
multiple opportunities that we have, but we have to have the personnel in order to be able to do it.
Anything else? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the change in JROTC instructor pay for an extra month of service, $6,012.
I move to approve the pay increase of the JROTC instructor, Mr. Donald Hope.
Motion second.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
We got a jewel there in Chief Hope.
And what most of you don't realize is, he's called to have an assistant,
Yeah.
and he doesn't. He's doing it all by himself.
If I understand, he's had offers to go elsewhere, but his heart's here.
I can tell you this, 100%, he has had definite offers to go other places.
Can we just not find somebody to be his assistant?
We've had it out, Mr. Sherman's what?
2.5 months,
Yes.
and there have been 0 applicants.
Yes.
It's hard to get an assistant ROTC guy to come in because of pay. You know, they receive money from the military as well, it's just, and then it comes in this area, because they're coming off active duty, or Fort School, or Fort Training, or wherever they're Fort Drum, they actually come to Bishop or later, so Chief does. I mean, I'm just saying, that not being bad when you come from a military town, it's a different environment to come to where it's not, it's totally different.
All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the request for the retention stipend for school and district support staff in the amount of $2,000, and that will be funded by ESSER. I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Motion second. Discussion?
That's part of the Americans Rescue Plan too. And what was the total amount of that? So we got 90 people that's actually going to get that $2,000, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
I'm sorry.
Question.
Ma'am.
Are any of the people that's included in this, were they included in the group of people that got raises earlier?
There are some in there, yes, ma'am, based off of that. Yes, ma'am.
So why would we give them a stipend when they've gotten a raise?
Because it's called equity and equality across the board. And in there, those people have done nothing wrong based on the fact of being promoted, that they still don't deserve what everybody else is getting across the board. And when you start paying this one and not this one and this one and this one and not that one, we're fixing to have a serious problem on our hands.
But I thought we had already done a stipend earlier in the year where everybody got.
That's correct, you did with CARES.
Right.
And then you had one with the fact of the superintendent, the state school superintendent gave $1,000 to teachers. Yes, ma'am. This is a stipend for retention of trying to hold on to the people that we have across the board. It's just like anything else, y'all. In this day and time, we need to do all that we can do to retain the people that we have.
And I agree with you, but if you're selecting 90 people,
That's the people who did not get the classified raise, and that's the people who did not get the extended day. So these are the people that are left over.
Okay.
So that way now, you know, everybody in our system has been covered, one way or another, from equity to equality, that we've taken care of everybody.
Any other? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the resignations of Francis Bowen and Gwendolyn Gibbs.
Motion.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to ratify the acceptance of the resignation of Julia Manley Varnador. And we did that on June the 21st.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. We have informational transfers there. And the last item of business is on land acquisition. And this is just a, yes ma'am.
I'm sorry, but we can't, I guess we can't ask any questions about transfer. I know it is.
Sure,
Okay, for me.
it's information.
That's all right. I know it's information, I was just curious.
Okay.
I was just wondering why Mr. Cooper is going to do weightlifting in the middle school and the other man is going from the middle school to the high school. I was just wondering, any particular reason?
So, Mr. Cooper and Coach Reynolds both sat down with Coach Pruitt because they run our weightlifting program. And Mr. Reynolds has not ran one by himself before, to whereas Coach Cooper has in Coffee County. At the middle school, you're by yourself. At the high school, you have other coaches that are around that have been in the weight room, so they requested that transfer themselves. It's the same pay, the same hours, everything stays the same. They just wanted to flip-flop.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, the last item of business is on land acquisition that we took action on at last meeting. This is just a clarification, and our motion that was made at the last meeting actually covers what we did, because the motion was to purchase 87 plus acres. Well, we've had it surveyed, and that plus actually ended up to be a little over 30 acres. So, just a matter of information, our motion is still good if you want it to be so. But we're now acquiring 30 more acres under the survey. Just wanted to make you aware and make the public aware that the survey turned out to be 117.98 acres. And what was offered to us, or what we thought was being offered to us, was a little over 87 acres. Well, it is a little over 87 acres. It's 30 acres over. But it's, you need to understand that, plus it's the cost per acre.
That's correct.
It's more money.
Yes.
But like I said, the original motion covers us.
That's correct. And just to point out, so if you look at your screen so you can see it, being out there, you know that this is the student parking lot. And then there's a big drainage hole right here off the student parking lot when you look. So basically what it does is it comes right on the other side of the drainage ditch, comes down to this field, goes all the way back down here to the swamp, and comes back up, comes back around, and comes back in to our property. And that would be, quote, 117.98 acres, or 118 acres, with an $8,000 cost. It would be $944,000. And that is,
Question?
yes.
But that's the same land we thought we were getting anyway, right?
Basically what had happened is under the pretense, we did not have the official plat, couldn't find it. So we thought that it stopped earlier than what it did.
Oh.
But it takes on more land back through
Does it
here.
go all the way to the creek or past the creek?
Mr. Curley, I'm gonna ask you to help me with that part of it. I thought it went all the way to the, I thought it went all the way to the creek back in this side of it, in the swamp right there. Okay, all right.
To the creek.
Yes, sir.
It goes to the creek is the border?
The creek is the line.
Yes.
Now, when they survey it, you know, as surveyors are wanting to do, they don't take every nook and cranny in there, they like straight lines.
That, I can tell you that when I went out there, he was knee deep, I mean, he was neck deep trying to cross into the water to get a quality line that went across it and give us the best plat that he could give us based off of that.
Again, the value of the timber.
The value of the timber
Property is
will
probably
be
worth having.
100%.
We do, does it come with the rights?
Yes, that's correct. So just to let you know, they've already started harvesting pine straw. So we have the availability of timber and pine straw to generate funds based off of that. Not to mention the fact that it's excess land that if we wanted to wait, we could still look to lease it out for farmland at that time.
What do we need, a motion?
No, we don't.
We don't.
Understand
I just
that-
wanted to give you a complete understanding that there was a difference of 30 acres in the cost variance difference, so the board would be, and the public would understand what we're doing.
We're good with the motion that we had last time. I want everybody to understand that since we had a survey, it turned out to be more, and more land means more money, so, but our original motion is still good. Everybody good with it? Everybody good with it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's a blessing.
I
Thank you
should
very much.
understand that we have done that.
That's super.
All right, no further business comes forth tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
To adjourn.
Motion second, we got 6 seconds.